Borderlands, and we have a nice group here today. And what I'd like to really focus on today is what people inside Ukraine are going through, and what people, those who've left, are going through. And the guests we have today are people who are both from Ukraine recently and people who've moved away a while ago. And I'll introduce them all briefly here. So, Irina, first, why don't you tell us briefly where you're from in Ukraine and where you are right now and how long you've been there?
Originally from Ukraine, from Zaporozhye. I moved to United States in 2006 with the help of a Presbyterian church. We were helping with orphan kids through a church in Philadelphia. Got my business visa, then so happened met my husband, and never went moved back. But I have very extensive relatives and family in Zaporozhye.
Yeah. So Irina is very connected to her family back home and knows a lot about what's going on from family members. And Zaporozhye is one of the areas that's, let's call it, under contested a little bit. There's a lot of threat from forces that are south of there. And that brings me to Alexander. Alexander, you're also from that area. Tell us about yourself and where you are and where you are right now. Or sorry, where you're from and where you are right now.
Yeah, good day. I'm from Zaporozhye region. I was born here, and I'm currently here. Yeah, and it is definitely the age of the war, because the Russian forces are 30-40 kilometers from Zaporozhye, and we're holding the defense. I'm currently serving at the territorial defense, and I'm also on my volunteer duty to help civilians.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you, and I know that you're on. We're really looking forward to hearing your perspective, what's going on. And next, Artem, you're not far from there in terms of where you're from, but tell us about where you're from, where you are right now, and also you have a lot of family back in Ukraine.
Yeah, I was born in Kryvyi Rih. Now it also became more active to the south. I mean, that's some Russian troops are trying to find weak places in the defense. There are still my brother. He's now a volunteer and helping territorial defense and our forces. I know that there is some lack of equipment, and I really hope that we still have some time to support them. Another, my brother is in the western Ukraine right now. Actually, when Russia started to bomb Ukraine with rockets, there was a lot of damages at first day, and we had to decide what to do, and we gathered all the family members and agreed that I will take all the children, the small children, and move to the west, and then now I'm in Budapest with my family, with my mother, with all our children. So yeah, it is a bit hard for me because I had to decide what to do, and for now it's very hard because my older brother are still in Ukraine, and I really worry about them. But for now, my duty is to support the families and children's.
And Artem, just so I'm clear and everyone is clear here, also you have 3 children, which actually fathers are allowed to leave Ukraine if you're between 18 and 60. Men aren't allowed to leave unless you have 3 children or more, right? And you took how many children?
Yes, but by Ukrainian law, as a father of 3 or more, children that's under the 18 years old, you have a legal right to cross the border. And as I have this opportunity, I decide to take all not only my children, but children of my brothers. So now at least they are at a safe place, and I can continue my job. I can continue to support the family and my friends and yeah. But I also feel like, like a bit guilty that I cannot stay together right now. That is the hardest thing for me right now.
Yeah. And Katerina, tell us about yourself, where you're from, and where you are right now.
Well, I was born in Lutsk. This is the western part of Ukraine, but I used to live in Kyiv for the last 2 years. The week before the war started, I moved to Poland, to Warsaw. I studied here and got a bachelor degree. So I went here to see my friends. And I had to go back on the 24th of February, but the war started in the night. So I'm here for now, and some members of my family are in Europe. Some of them are in Czech Republic, others are also in Warsaw, but all men stayed in Ukraine, and yeah, I'm so worried about them, and so much worries about my uncle who stays near the border with Belarus, and we have no idea what we are waiting for. So doing everything what depends on me to do this. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So you really, your family's in northwest Ukraine. Lutsk is very close to the Belarus and Polish border, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's go back and start with actually Alexander, because the front lines are very close to you, and I'd like to get your perspective on what exactly is happening. First of all, what did you do before the war, and what are you doing now?
I used to be a CFO of the big QSR Panasian restaurant chain that operated in Ukraine, Russia, Eastern Europe, and some Western Europe countries.
That's a big company. How many people in your company?
More than 12,000.
And you're the CFO for a company of 12,000 people.
It used to be.
Wow. And well, tell me about what happened. I mean, the war started for you. What was going on in your town, and tell me about your journey from being a CFO of a huge company to what you're doing now.
Yeah, that was a usual night. Yeah, that and not usual day started with the rockets that were used to bomb my native city, Zaporozhye. Yeah, I've heard warplanes, war aircrafts, and I heard bombs that were coming. Yeah, it lasted, I think, for about an hour. Yeah, and I just asked my family to get to the safe place in my house. Yeah, and then I got my computer and started to speak with other people that could give me some information at that time, but it was understandable from the first moment what was going on. So of course all the business at one at just one moment was thrown away. Yeah, and in 2 or 3 days, the top management decided to get out from the Russian market. We stopped our activities there. But of course, the Ukrainian part of the business was also under the attack, and the business actually stopped. So of course, from the first moment, I understood that I'm not a CFO. I'm a volunteer. I'm a possible soldier, and so on. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son, and I need to protect my family, my home, my city, my land. And it happened that in 2014, a friend of mine had already organized a charity fund that helped civilians, that started to help civilians even in 2014, when the first part of Russian aggression took part in Crimea and in Donetsk and Lugansk region. So I just called him and asked, what can I do for you? What can we do together to help our people, to help our land? Yeah, and we started to act. Yeah, and currently I'm in charge of one of the biggest headquarters of our volunteer organization, and we're doing a lot of things for the civilians, because many families had to flee from the Zaporozhye region, from the regions nearby, from such cities as Mariupol, Kharkiv, Sumy, Izyum, Akhtirka, Kherson, and so on. And as Zaporozhye is situated really nearby those cities, we were able to start helping them. But of course, as we are Zaporozhye native, the majority of our help is directed to the Zaporozhye region and Donetsk region, especially Mariupol, because a lot of refugees right now are coming from Mariupol through Zaporozhye, and they are moving further to Western Ukraine. So we are helping them with the accommodation, we're helping them with the food, with the clothes, with the medicine. We're helping our medical institutions with the medicines that we're able to gather in Western Europe. We're able to gather in the US, and we are procuring and helping with the logistic of such humanitarian goods and aids from Poland and other European countries. We're receiving these humanitarian goods and transferring them to those who are in need. These are medicines, these are clothes, these are food. So we are trying to do as much as we can. Yeah. So and of course, apart from gathering the goods, we are trying to raise funds to buy out these particular things that I've mentioned. So these are actually my long day that had started 4 weeks ago. Yeah, I really lost count of these days, because every day I wake up at 5 o'clock, gather my things, and go to the headquarters. So these are my everyday duties. I'm also, as I told in the beginning, on my third day, if I'm not mistaken, I went to the headquarters of territorial defense and was written to the list of the volunteers to the territorial defense, and I'm serving my duty there also as a person who is in charge of the one of the headquarters that repair different types of vehicles and technique, and I'm in charge with the connection of volunteers of other volunteers headquarters. So I'm doing everything I can, and our fund is doing everything it can. So if by any means this conversation would help us to help the people who are here in Zaporozhye, the people who are in Mariupol and other cities, I think it would help us. Yeah, it would give us an opportunity to hold on.
Well, what right now, and this is definitely something we want to put out there. We're in touch with some organizations that are getting aid in to the country. So, and you'll hear this story evolve, Alexander, because this is great that you're telling your side of the story, because if you have the ability to distribute and identify people in need, we're now getting in touch with people from the outside who are trying to send in supplies and money. So definitely, if you have people that you're trying to get out of the country, our organization is doing that. And then if you have people who are in need, financial and other things, we're also setting that up inside of our organization. So definitely let us know your needs, and we can talk about that. And also, if you have a link to share where people can donate directly to your organization, we'll put that below this video, and we'll send that out to people. So there's a couple ways we can help out with that. Now, Alexander, what is the situation right now? How many people are working with you in this organization, and how many people are working with you in the organization and the territorial defense?
Speaking about the organization, there are, I think, about 500 people that are helping us, because we have headquarters in different districts of the city. And there are production facilities, warehouses, and a lot of volunteers that helping us. So we are a really big organization that are trying to help. Yeah, we are in a very good connection with a lot of hospitals and with other volunteer centers and with the local administration. That is organizing the refugees from the Mariupol, for example, and that is organizing the work for the hospitals. So I'm believe me, but I cannot tell you the numbers of the territorial defense. Sorry, this is there. Yeah,
probably best to not say that. But just if the Russians are watching, it's too many for you to deal with. So that's all we'll say about that. So how are things going overall in Zaporozhye? And actually, when you answer, I'm gonna also ask Irina to come in after you give your assessment of what's going on in the local area, because Irina, her family's also from the region. So how are things going from your perspective?
Okay, as we're helping a lot of people to with the humanitarian aid inside the region, because our drivers that helps us and that let's say work, volunteer work for our organization and deliver the medicine, the hygiene and clothes and food and so on to the villages and cities that are currently held by the enemy. So we somehow understand the situation, but the situation is in terms of war is stable for a week or so. So we know where the enemy is, we know where the fights are. There are some usual bombs that are coming to the city, missiles. Yeah, but the current situation is stable, and there is an opportunity right now to provide the help that I mentioned. We're able to organize the cars and transport and other means of transportations to those villages that are even occupied. Yeah, but the situation there is really bad. Yeah, because many cities are really destroyed, villages are destroyed, the warehouses in those villages are destroyed, and the food is running out, the water is running out. When you are running out of electric power, it means that you are almost at the same time is not able to have water because of the absence of the water pumps. So actually, without electricity, these cities are condemned, and those villages are condemned. So it's really a hard situation there, but we're trying to help them as much as we can. And many people are still there. They are not fleeing. They are trying to live in the situation that they are held.
In Mariupol or what other cities?
Not only Mariupol, in Melitopol, in Mariupol, in Guляйполе, in Vasilyevka, in Energodar, in many cities. And it's really a hard situation. We're working with the Red Cross also, and we're helping Red Cross drivers with the petrol, and some of them are usual. This is a usual situation when they are held by the Russian soldiers at the checkpoints for several hours and so on, and Russians usually took off their phones. So this is every time our drivers and people who are trying to get there with humanitarian aid or with the purpose to take civilians out of these villages and these cities, they're really risking their lives, because there are situations when civilians are wounded and even killed, and there are situations when the civilians that are coming from Mariupol or Berdyansk, which is one of also big cities at the shore of Azov Sea, and they are bombed during the evacuation, and on the whole road that they are taken. It's about 200 kilometers from Berdyansk and about 250 or 270 kilometers from Mariupol. So this is a hard road that usually takes about 2 days for them to pass, and this is the road of terror and the horror.
Yeah. Well, before we pass it on here to Irina, I just want to show Alexander a video that you passed us, and then we'll ask Irina to comment on.
We are peaceful people, but today we have to fight against the Russian invasion to the Ukraine. We are peaceful people, but today we have to fight against the Russian invasion to the Ukraine. Many of our families had to flee, and many had to live in the bomb shells. But many of us stays here and are able to help other people. Here in Zaporozhye, we are able to help the cities that are heavily bombed today, as Mariupol, Sumy, Kharkov, and so on. And here we are able to provide medicine, we are able to provide food, means of communications, clothes, and so on. And we also here have the production facilities and are able to do such things as anti-military hedgehogs. We are able to do the heaters and so on. But we are in heavy need from the help of Europeans, as European government is able to help the Ukrainian army. But we are on a duty to help the civilians and volunteer territory defense. So here, as you see, we have many warehouses and many goods, but we need more of them, because every good that you will supply to us will be given to those who are in the badly need of this. Friends, we need your help, and you can be sure that all the goods that you will give us will be transferred to those who are in need. We will give you all this information for you to be able to provide such help. Thank you.
Thank you for this, Alexander. Alexander, how do people get goods to you? Is there a place you receive it inside of Ukraine or outside of Ukraine? Just tell me how this works.
It works in many ways. We gather goods in Poland. We gather goods in Western Ukraine, and then those goods are coming using the trucks or using the railway to Zaporozhye.
Okay, so please give me all the details. I'm going to post your video on my Facebook feed. I'll put it on the Borderlands page also, how people can get in touch with you directly, how they can donate to you. And also, Alexander, just so you know, our organization also receives goods. So if we can link up with yours and just pass things to you, we'd love to, we're just trying to facilitate whoever's good at something, we're trying to facilitate it. So we have some people we've been working with, but it sounds like your organization is very mature, and you're also in the part of the country that has the most, I think, urgent humanitarian needs. So one of the things I'll offer is I'd love to connect with your group to get whatever we receive if people are watching this show, but if people want to donate directly to you, we'll also put that information up.
Yeah, thanks, Samuel.
All right. Okay, so Irina, your family is in Zaporozhye. How are they doing? And first of all, thanks for joining us. It was great to meet you the other day. I'm in Lake Charles, where Irina lives. I gave a talk locally, and I met her and some other Ukrainian women who now live in my hometown. We have another event coming up on Thursday at my old church our family church. My dad was pastor of St. Michael's in Lake Charles at 7 p.m. So anyone who wants to come by and meet myself and Irina, you can certainly do that Thursday. Irina, I just told you you're coming, so I hope you come.
Yes.
Okay.
I will.
All right, great.
Now.
Okay, so Irina, tell me how your family's doing, and I think you connected us with Alexander. Thank you for that, and tell me how your family's doing.
My family is scattered right now all over. After the Russians start bombing Energodar, my mom, my sister, and my sister, 3 kids, she had a triplets, they made an overnight decision that they gotta leave. They packed what they could fit, and drove. It took them 3 days to get to the border with Poland, and from Poland they were taken by people in Spain, while my cousin and her daughter is in Germany, in Munich right now. It's just a temporary arrangements for them. My dad, my aunt, and my uncle, they all move right now to my parents' apartment. They also taking care of 2 grandmas. They too old, and definitely not in good shape to be moving anywhere or taking much of this information. They were kids of World War II, and now they old, and now they living through another war. My dad said right away to my mom that kids need you more. I'll be fine. And my dad was very specific that he's not going anywhere. My dad is 61. He's going to be 62 shortly. My dad worked at the school board, and they currently helping. So it's work slash a lot of volunteering. He was supposed to had his first day off on Saturday since the war started. So he didn't have that. But it's okay. He said he glad he didn't, because he doesn't know what he gonna do with his mind if he stays at home all day long. Because he works at the school board, they helping with a lot of refugees that come in from cities of Mariupol, Melitopol, Energodar, and other cities. People coming in the cars, some burned cars being towed by the other cars just so they can get any sort of transportation. So they looking for places and organizing placing for them, such as schools, kindergartens for mom and kids. I believe local circus is sheltering a lot of people, or at least there is a center there to help refugees. And then a local warehouse store epicenter, which is home goods material. They also a center to help with refugees. According to my dad, situation is good. They bombing, but it's okay. And that is what he's saying. He is very positive in a good outcome. He glad the family is in a different place, and they just doing what they doing.
Yeah. So, Irina, how was it for you waking up in America to the news that the war started? Did you believe this was going to happen? What were your thoughts before the war started about the probability? What was your family thinking? And actually, this is a question for you, Alexander, too. Did you actually believe this was going to happen, or was it a surprise?
Alexander, you can go first.
I really didn't believe that it could happen, because you know, there is a proverb that a bad peace is better than a good war.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone believed it, and no one really believed that Russians would really attack. So, and as I told you before, myself as a CFO of the big company that had operations in Russia, yeah, that was a terrible shock for me.
Irina, what did you think about the possibility of conflict before it happened?
Honestly, I thought it was not going to happen. I thought it's, again, some major bluff. I thought they were gathering up military on the border because they were going to do their standard intimidation technique with idea that people of Ukraine gonna do something to provoke or what could be taken as a provocation, and then they would respond. So I thought that was the original plan, and I really didn't believe that was going to happen.
Well, Ukraine certainly didn't respond to the provocation, but that didn't seem to stop Putin from making his crazy speech that morning and launching the war. So what was it like for you, because you didn't expect it? How did you take the news?
I was in total shock, emotional shock. It was a state of panic and anxiety for nonstop for several days, lost sleep, communicate with my family, They constantly leaving me messages. At night, I would wake up and check my phone and I see no message. And I was like, oh my God, they probably lost internet connection. Something could have happened. So we then had an agreement that my parents are going to be sending me messages like every hour. We good, we good, we good. So when I wake up, I know it's not no response from them because all good, everybody is safe, everybody alive, or no response because there's nobody to respond or there's no connection.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. It still is very difficult. It really is.
Mm-hmm. And how have you responded to that? And being in America, what are you doing to keep yourself engaged? Or, you know, I know you're doing some great volunteering work. What have you decided to do to help out?
There's several girls here from Ukraine, and one of the girls said, hey, how about we gather up some medical supplies? I thought it was a terrific idea. You know, I went to the store myself, purchased some, and then, you know, after you gather up all these things, like, yeah, maybe we could get several large boxes, but this is such a small amount compared to the needs, what we're watching on TV, what we see and what we're hearing from our families. And that's when I approached our local church. It's a Trinity Baptist church, huge church. They have lots of connections all over the world. They have actually a partner in Gdańsk in Poland, who I'm trying to get Alexander in touch, and hopefully they would be able to help them with these needs. So church have invited, one Sunday invited us to participate in their service. I got on stage, address people, asking, telling basically what's going on with my family. Within few minutes, you know, what's happening with my family, what's happening in my hometown, what's happening in Ukraine, what we need. And then pastor asked to donate through the church, so we don't have to handle any finances. Through the church, everybody could make a donation to Trinity Baptist, and just write on the bottom of the check Ukraine, or even better, directly to Alexander and or volunteer center that they have. But after that, local TV station had a story on that, a newspaper. We're just trying to spread this information as much as possible because the pain is real, the need is real. Those people need our help. They desperately need our help. The food doesn't get produced there. Everything have to be brought in, and we need to do something. And believe me, if you're gonna do nothing right now, you're gonna regret it. It make you feel better when you do something, when you contribute, when you're helping. I heard that yesterday a bus full of kids were attempted to be evacuated from Mariupol, and it was shelled. And yes, and now there's a desperate need for even more medication. So now we have in Zaporozhye a bunch of kids with a bullet wounds. This is unbelievable. We're living in the 21st century. How this could happen? Nobody in the world should be able to listen to this and do nothing. This should never happen. They in desperate needs for kids' food. It's so much stress on mothers. They lose milk. They need formulas. They need clothes. They need everything imaginable and unimaginable that you can think of. They don't have places to live. Lots of people running away in what they were in when they sheltered. Lots of people in the bathrobes. They don't have luggage. They don't have anything with them. So they need everything.
Yeah. So Irina, I really appreciate your what you're doing in my hometown. I was not aware that there were a good community of Ukrainians and all the way down here in Louisiana. But really look forward to connecting with you and your group and seeing how we can maybe create a bridge between what you're doing and what we're trying to do. And actually, Artem, I'd like to bring you on here because you left and we've known each other for a while. In fact, when I first moved to Ukraine, I met you. And we spoke about a week and a half ago and you told me you're safe. I was happy to hear that, but you also told me how you feel bad about not being in the country, as I do. And even though I'm not a Ukrainian male, it's my country. I view it as, you know, that's where I want to have my family. So I shared with you what we're doing to help out, and you immediately jumped on board. Tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now to help everyone in Ukraine. And it's actually probably could be one of the more impactful things people will do for this conflict, what you're working on.
Thanks, Sam. Just imagine this day when we all woken up in new reality, when rockets starting to bomb our lovely country. All your achievements, all your goals, all your dreams, all the businesses, for example, the businesses of my family that was built for decades. My business that was built for years. All these things was just stopped and destroyed at the moment because the whole country just was shocked by what's happening. Actually, I wasn't like I was expecting that something terrible could happen, but I just didn't know when it will happen, because actually everything that was happening last years, it was the way to this moment, unfortunately, because all this aggressive politics from Russia, it was uncovered. We just didn't want to believe that it will happen, but for now we just see the reality, and this is terrible. So of course, when I realized that these terrible things are happening right now, that rockets are just thrown on us everywhere in Kyiv, where I lived for last year, in Kryvyi Rih city, where I was born. Everybody was this bombing everywhere, I mean. And we just sat down with my wife and decide what to do. And we decided to move, because we have 3 small children, and we just need to protect our future. And of course, I had a call with my brothers, with my father, and we also decided that we just need to save our children and to keep them in a safe place first, and then we just need to do something to protect the country. And for now, yes, as Sam said, when I finally arrived to Budapest, I just was thinking what to do next, because if just in last week I was thinking how to build a new startup and how to grow it, how to expand to other countries, our business, I had to think, oh, what will I do for next couple of days, because we need a new house, we need a new I don't know, everything. We had to think about everything again, and that is the new reality. And millions of people right now have to think only for the next couple of days all the plans that was built for years was destroyed just in one single day. So of course we need to do something. We have to do something, and that's why we after Sam called me and I call him, we discuss how we can help, and that's how I joined Borderlands Foundation, and we decide that all my talents that I achieved in IT industry, and as an IT engineer, I have to do something. And now we are working on the platforms that will help. I hope it will help a lot of people to close the most important needs for current moment. It is how to get some place, how to find some house to live. If they need something from, I don't know, food, clothes, or maybe some money, of course it also should be provided somehow. And of course now a lot of projects are just exploding, and it's fine, because at the first days when everybody was shocked, a lot of people started to message me, to call me, and asking, oh, maybe you need some help, maybe you need to find some place to live. And I was surprised, because there was people all around the world. I could go to anywhere actually, but I want to stay in the Ukraine. That is the problem. We don't want to go anywhere actually. We just want to live our lives, and this is the hardest thing, because we really have to go now somewhere. Our wives, our children, all they need just to have a protection. So of course a lot of people are trying to help, even those from whom I even didn't expect that they will try to help. And this is it gives some hope, and of course it's very, very good that people all around the world are in solidarity with us, and this is a great achievement of humanity for me. But for now, we just need an efficient and some tools that will help to provide this help on systematic level, and that's what we are trying to do right now. Of course, we cannot do it very quick, because nobody was prepared for it, but we will do the best we can to provide this this platform as soon as possible, so everybody who is in need could try to find help there. So what we are doing right now, and thanks for Sam, thanks for everybody who are now supporting Ukrainians and Ukraine. It is very, very important, because in this situation, it as we can see right now, it could be anybody. We just now have this terrible catastrophe just because we are the closest to the Russian and to this aggression. So thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody, for support.
Yeah, so Artem's building, he's the CTO for a technology project where he's building a platform that allows anyone in Ukraine who has a need to post their need, financial, food, whatever it is, transportation. Maybe they want to leave internally in Ukraine, externally. And we're marrying that technology with our team we've built that's a 24-hour support team that we already have on staff that's just there all the time, all Ukrainians, all refugees, to speak to other refugees who need help. So we want to combine technology with personal support, and Artem's building this technology, which we've already designed conceptually, and he's working on building the prototype as quickly as possible so we can put it out there. And another thing that just happened to me today, Artem, is we connected with a charity from a Ukrainian in America that's raised $4 million, and they're giving $1,000 to every Ukrainian family, and they're prioritizing families with children that had to leave Ukraine. And our foundation is going to become one of their trusted agents that they count on to vet people. So we can actually, we have a source of funds now for people who come to Borderlands who have needs to say, hey, we have needs, financial, we've got funding now for that. We have to vet them. We have to speak to them, make sure that they're on the priority list. But that's something that gives me a lot of hope that the money's out there. There's tons of donors around the world. What they lack is my money going to the people in need? And you're building that platform where we just want to connect someone who wants to help directly with someone who needs help. And there's 11 million Ukrainians and counting that have been displaced internally and externally, inside and outside the country, and plenty more who have needs. So, hopefully we can all link together with Irina's efforts and Alexander, and we have a team in Poland that can receive goods. It sounds like Alexander does too. So we just want to organize whoever does whatever best and just provide that kind of technology and that staff to connect everything. And that's really our mission at Borderlands. So thank you, Artem, for taking on that role, because I know you're doing it as a volunteer until we raise money for it. So.
Yeah, actually, I see two more risks. The first one is that for now we have like 3 waves of people from Ukraine as refugees. The first one is those who had some relatives, for example, in Europe. And it is, of course, the easiest way because you know where you're going and where you will stay. And probably you even know that you can live for some time in a good way. Other wave was people who just have money and they could go somewhere. But of course, this money is limited. So in some moments, they just spend all their money and they just need to have another job, for example, because somehow they need to live. And the third wave are those people who are mostly desperate because they lose their houses, they lose their jobs, they lose everything. And they have no place to go, so they just go to nowhere. And of course, this is like the worst situation because they're absolutely unprotected. And we have only hope that these countries that's providing help for refugees just will be respectful and will not provide all the help they need. So this is how I see these risks, and we just need to cover those risks with the platform. And the second, maybe it's not about our platform, but what I see right now, all territorial defenses, they have a lot of motivation to protect the country, but actually they have really limited resources of equipment. And this is the hardest thing because all that equipment that was for example, in Poland, in closest country, they just already bought, and now they just don't know where to get all this equipment. And of course, this is most advanced more advanced issue, but we also need to say about it out loud, because the danger is growing, and all this actually this is our friends, our brothers, maybe some fathers. They just need to have everything to fight back. And this is because actually they have like outdated equipment, and we just need to provide as fast as possible the best we can find. It is the things that I still do not have any answers how to do it, but this at least what we can say out loud and to do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the Borderlands Foundation, we're working on the humanitarian supplies, because that's what a nonprofit can focus on. But for those that want to help, there are links below the show to donate directly to the Ukrainian army. And that's what we recommend. But also, you know, this is definitely something that there's also nonprofits in America that directly support Ukrainian forces, and we have connections. So if anyone is interested in military supplies, we can point you to the nonprofits that do deal with that legally. You know, protective equipment is considered a weapon system in America. So Borderlands is not dealing with that, but we certainly know the people who are legally allowed to help with that. But we're focusing on medical, humanitarian, the stuff that Alexander's dealing with and Irina's dealing with. So Artem, thank you. I feel really blessed that we met each other all these years ago. We've met socially many times and always talked about doing a project together. And I can't think of a better CTO for this project, because you've been a tech CTO before. You know, you've managed developers, and you happen to have developers inside Ukraine who need work, which is rare. And we're going to happily raise money to hire them all. And we look forward to building a great technology to connect everyone. So Katerina,
I just want
Go
to point out that Alexander had to go because they have an air raid alarm, and he need to move somewhere closer in to wall rules.
Yeah. So Alexander, thank you for joining us. I know you couldn't stay. Katerina, great to have you on here. I met you in Warsaw before I left for the States. Just tell me a little bit about your, where you told us where you're from and how long you've been in Poland. What did you do after the war? What got you into the war effort? What are you doing now that you're in Warsaw? How are you helping out?
Well, I think it doesn't matter what we all did before the war, because everyone is volunteers now, as I see. So when the war started, my friend woke me up, and she was screaming, he's bombing Kyiv, he's bombing Ukraine. And I really didn't know what to do, and I felt anxiety, and I was shocked. And I felt these feelings. I had these feelings, I think 3 days or 4, and it was hard to eat and even hard to sleep. But on the 5th day, my friend from Lutsk, he called me and said that like he was a volunteer there already, and he said that they have a boy. He is ill, and he has a cancer, and it's really very hard to find medicines in Ukraine now. So he asked me for the help, and I started looking for these medicines in Poland. I asked some of my friends because I have connections, because I used to live here for 3 years, and they helped me to find doctors who can translate the prescription from Ukrainian language into Polish. and they made the translation for me. And when I bought this medicine, and I realized that that I saved, I don't know, but it was the feeling that I did something big, and that I saved the life of the boy, because he had to get these medicines in few days. So, and it was delivered to Ukraine. After that, I understood that I can't stand aside no more. So I posted a post. I posted a post in social media where I wrote that I'm able to get the medicines people need, the rare medicines that they can't get in Ukraine. And frankly, a lot of people wrote to me, mostly those who had cancer, but it is really very expensive and it's really hard to get such medicines in Poland. And of course, there were others. So these medicines that I could buy, I buy them and deliver to Ukraine, where my relatives who stayed in Ukraine now and friends, they send it by post to these people who had the request for these medicines. But there are also those ones who are not able to pay for these tablets and for this stuff, and it is and now I realize that it is a real problem, because I want to buy them, but I like there is lack of finance, so I'm asking all my friends to give what they can, and to have to take a transfer, and so on. Yeah, but trying to do my best to help, because as I said earlier, I can't stay no more aside from all of what is happening now in Ukraine.
Well, Katerina, I really admire your commitment to this, and I know that we at Borderlands are working on trying to get more medical supplies in general through our supply lines, and obviously donations for that. And one of the things that the site should solve, hopefully with Artem, is the ability for people to post individual requests and match across the world people who want to fund that and say, yeah, I'd like to pay for that supplies, and just send the money for that. And that's one of the features we want to build into the site, because there's so many people around the world, as Artem has met, I've met, who want to help, but they want to help in a personal way. So the fact that you can gather so many stories from people who need help, and help us create a little photo, video, and tell their story, and we verify this is a real need. That's what prevents people from giving, is they don't want to be scammed, which is very normal in these situations. So our team is going to provide the human vetting like you, the list of needs, and then do the marketing to bring people who want to help into that site. So that's really the vision that we have, and Artem is developing this, and it's going to be ready very soon. I know Artem is working on it day and night with his team. So the sooner we can get that up, the better. And thank you, Katerina. Do you have anything else you'd like to share about who else can help? I know that you're looking for people to help with specific supplies, but if you have a list of cases that you'd like me to post on the wall, I will. And then we can see if anyone wants to reach out to me and fund these specific cases. I'll do that. But that's going to be like a precursor to, hopefully, when the site's up, people can post their stories and needs and their financial needs, and even let you help get those supplies into Ukraine for them from Poland, which is very close and easy to get that stuff across the border. And then hopefully Alexander or some other people we know inside of Ukraine can get it to those people specifically.
Yeah, okay, I will do the list of these needs because it's, yeah, okay, thank you.
So we'll put that up on Facebook. I'm sure Irina knows some people who might help, and maybe we can just matchmake here.
Maybe.
Yeah, just a couple of requests from our team that's now developing the prototype. Yeah, we really need the real cases from real people that really need something, because when you try to imagine what kind of situation could happen, what kind of needs people have, better to know it from real people than to imagine how it could happen. And this is how we will build the platform in a really good way. Yeah, I know that there are a lot of issues, and for example, this medicine issue is really what people needs right now, and yeah, sometimes the best way is just to connect to people, that somebody just has this medicine and he can just call and send it with any post on some delivery service, and it could be much faster than to go to some foundations and they just will find it somewhere. So of course, people to people help could be much faster. This is I think this is the strongest part of the democratic societies. It's really communicate to each other and do it in the best way they can.
In the best and most efficient way.
Yeah. This is the power.
We collect medical supplies, but the problem is that we in United States, and once we ship to a shipping company, it takes them approximately 2-3 weeks. And now, since there is such a high demand of the packages, it's all time. So our package is sitting. I think we sent 14 packages by this time. It's about 750 pounds worth of medication that's going to Pavlograd and Zaporozhye. And so far, none have got, I mean, we haven't been doing it for that long, but so far, none have actually reached the
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That sometimes people just can help in a more efficient way, and this is the power of community, of strong united community.
Well, so Irina, this is the way we can solve this problem. Is Katerina can go to a pharmacy in Poland and buy exactly what people need, and the next day we can have it at the border, and we have drivers like Alexander who can get it to Zaporozhye hopefully in a couple of days, from a need to a purchase to a actually fulfilling it. So that's why at Borderlands we have a staff to help with these logistical issues, so that we're not reliant on a medical system. We're not reliant on a postal system. We have 14 people on staff, all Ukrainian refugees, most of them in Poland, some of them inside Ukraine, and a network of people to help with that. So last but not least, and Artem, you're welcome to stay on. Katerina, you're welcome to stay on or go. I always end with a presentation of just a summary of the news of Ukraine, because my fiance and I watch Twitter all the time to research everything that's going on, to try and give people some kind of real analysis of the situation on the ground, militarily, economically, politically, because what a lot of people in America tell me they really want is news that isn't politicized. Now, I certainly am not neutral in my reporting. I'm 100% behind Ukraine, but I certainly try to keep political commentary out of it, aside from I'm very pro what Ukraine's trying to do, which is win and fight. on that side. So a lot of people have commented that we've said earlier than most people in the West that Ukraine was actually having very much battlefield success, and I like to be on front of what's going on, and so I'm going to share with you guys what's going on, and welcome any comments or thoughts. But just overall, this is my favorite maps from our friend Jomini of the West of Twitter. If any of you would like to follow the military situation closely, he's given a very good overview here. And one of the things that's happening around Kyiv specifically is Russian forces have effectively stalled. And the Ukrainian defense forces have managed to stall them effectively out of artillery range, because 25 kilometers is where they need to be to shell the center of the city. And Russian forces have gone to the defensive because they've run out of steam, especially in this area. That famous convoy that never got to Kyiv is somewhere out there, maybe dispersed, maybe getting slowly ambushed by Ukrainian forces. But the city is still free. It's not surrounded. It's nowhere close to being surrounded, but there is a lot of threat to the northwest and some to the northeast. So that's the basic situation around Kyiv. And one of the even more interesting things is this is the circle of where artillery can fire. So because Russian forces are mainly kept out of this circle, which is obviously the focus of Ukrainian forces in Kyiv, Ukrainian forces have also been able to start counterattacking. And there's been a number of fights in a number of villages. And just today I heard that Ukrainian forces might have actually surrounded a large pocket of troops around the capital in the northwest. In fact, the 331st Guards Airborne Regiment has been completely destroyed as a fighting unit, and they've taken significant casualties. The regimental commander, 2 deputy commanders, both killed. So this area has been a huge problem for Russian forces to get through with their elite airborne forces. These are typically the best forces by reputation in the Russian army, have had a really tough time in this area around Gostomel, Bucha, and Irpin. And this is a more up. Sorry, that's a close-up map of what I was showing there in terms of the situation right around Kyiv and them being surrounded by it. And this pocket apparently is now surrounded. That's something I saw on Twitter, but watch for that in the news if that's verified, because that's significant. These are the main forces that almost got into Kyiv and have been very hard to dislodge. Hackers got into VKontakte, the 400,000 person cyber army, led by, I think, Anonymous. Let's call it not led by, but they're certainly taking part. They got into VKontakte, which is Facebook for Russia, and sent all users information about Russian war crimes in Ukraine and high military casualties. So they're trying to pierce the iron curtain of information that is appearing there. So legendary hacker group Anonymous hacked into unsecured computers all across Russia, and they began mass printing information on Putin's invasion, including Russian losses, in order to bypass the Kremlin's media blackout and propaganda. So this is retweet that if you find it on Twitter to thank Anonymous for that. And this is just watching what's going on in Energadar, which is a video of protesters in this occupied city right next to So the Russian soldiers or police, whoever those guys are, warning shots didn't seem to have any effect on protesters. They just drove off. So this is an interesting some background on the Russian army, and why is the Russian army performing so poorly? This is some great reporting by Kamil, who writes some amazing posts, Kamil Galeev, on what's wrong with the Russian army. And basically, the organized crime gangs in Russia apparently visit the bases and extort soldiers and steal their supplies, and officers and men pay them. And part of the corruption and just poor performance of the Russian army apparently is due to some of these problems they're having, which are being reported on. And this is another story of a Russian conscript who was forced into prostitution on his second month of service. He got a letter from his girlfriend and didn't give it to the sergeant to read. And the angry sergeant told Ilya, "You won't need girls anymore." And that evening he was gang raped. So later they sell him to clients. So apparently these are some of the stories that are coming out about the Russian military and what's going on, and perhaps why the army's performing so poorly in the field in terms of discipline and trust in leadership. So this is along the same thread. Basically, Russian soldiers apparently are forced into gay prostitution. According to International Gay Guide Spartacus, you can either pick up a soldier in Moscow City or visit nearby military base and choose the one you want for $100 to $500 USD. And that's another big problem in the Russian military. So this guy Kamil's got a great Substack where he writes about issues in Russian society. I'd highly recommend reading his Twitter feed and his Substack. Okay, so here, Ukraine had a very tough situation where there was a individual who posted a location of vehicles just by taking a photo, and the shopping mall that was blown up in Kyiv was because, according to the Ukrainian military, this individual, which admitted to it on camera, posted a TikTok video showing artillery from the Ukrainian military in that location. Russia was able to geolocate it and destroyed a shopping center in the Poldyski district. So don't post pictures of any Ukrainian vehicles ever on social media if you want to protect them. This is a picture of a Russian military unit doing their So that's the Russian army's logistics system right now, is stealing from gas stations, which, by the way, is a war crime, theft, pillaging, which apparently is sanctioned by the Russian military. And President Zelensky was talking about how everyone was insisting that he must leave Kyiv. In the early days of the war, new calls for him to leave the capital came every 10 to 20 minutes from world leaders. This is what he was reporting to local Ukrainian media. And imagine what would have happened. I said on the third day of the war, when Zelensky refused to leave and he had that famous quote, "The fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride." I knew, and I said on this show, that the war has been won because the Ukrainian government stands, the people are going to stand. And I always knew the people would stand, but certainly nobody was sure the president would, because that has not happened before. Russian state TV just declared war on Arnold Schwarzenegger, who posted that video we showed on the broadcast last week. And they had a whole talk show dedicated to trashing Arnold Schwarzenegger on Kremlin TV, which means he certainly got under people's skin. In fact, they said here, "Arnie, you are a predator and an enemy." And there's 23 people in the world that President of Russia follows on Twitter, and one of them is Arnold Schwarzenegger. This video has been viewed 25 million times. Apparently, it made its way all over the place on Telegram, which still is not properly shut off in Russia, although who knows if they don't have spies everywhere. But this message is getting out, and maybe even old Putin watched it.
As a longtime friend of the Russian people, I hope that you will hear what I have to say. And may I remind you that I speak with the same heartfelt concern as I spoke to the American people when there was an attempted insurrection on January 6th last year, when a wild crowd was storming the US Capitol, trying to overthrow our government. You see, there are moments like this that are so wrong, and then we have to speak up. And this is exactly the same with your government. I know that your government has told you that this is a war to denazify Ukraine. Denazify Ukraine. This is not true. Ukraine is a country with a Jewish president, I might add, whose father's 3 brothers were all murdered by the Nazis. You see, Ukraine did not start this war. Neither did nationalists or Nazis. Those in power in the Kremlin started this war. This is not the Russian people's war. No. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, what you should know is that 141 nations at the UN voted that Russia was the aggressor and called for it to remove its troops immediately. Only 4 countries in the entire world voted with Russia. That is a fact. See, the world has turned against Russia because of its actions in Ukraine. Whole city blocks have been flattened by Russian artillery and bombs, including a children's hospital and a maternity hospital. 3 million Ukrainian refugees, mainly women, children and elderly, fled their country, and many more are trying to seek to get out. It is a humanitarian crisis. Because of its brutality, Russia is now isolated from the Society of Nations. You're also not being told the truth about the consequences of this war on Russia itself. I regret to tell you that thousands of Russian soldiers that have been killed. They have been caught between Ukrainians fighting for their homeland and the Russian leadership fighting for conquest. Massive amounts of Russian equipment have been destroyed or abandoned. The destruction that Russian bombs are raining down upon innocent civilians has so outraged the world that the strongest global economic sanctions ever taken have been imposed on your country. Those who don't deserve it on both sides of the war will suffer. Hello everybody, and thank you for sharing your time with me. I'm sending this message through various different channels to reach my dear Russian friends and the Russian soldiers serving in Ukraine. I'm speaking to you today because there are things that are going on in the world that are being kept from you, terrible things that you should know about.
So, very powerful message by Arnold Schwarzenegger here. Russian soldiers seem to be very poorly supplied on the medical front. This is another big problem. Why they're killed in action could be much higher than normal in terms of number of killed versus wounded. There's a lot of reports that Russians are leaving their wounded, sometimes even, and I didn't see this verified by fact, but rumors of them shooting their wounded, and just general uncare for them. And when you know, if you're in an army, that you're not going to be cared for if you're wounded, it's very demotivating, just from experience. And hundreds of local residents here in Ukraine are standing on their knees along the road to honor a fallen Ukrainian hero who's being returned home for burial. Ukrainian government has reported casualty figures of 1,300 about over a week ago, which obviously has gone up since then. But they are also doing public funerals, which someone I was speaking to who has friends in Russia said the first days of the war, coffins and soldiers were coming back in coffins, and no one on the media was reporting on it, claiming that there were no casualties, when that clearly wasn't true, and people knew that. And when you have a society that doesn't properly recognize or acknowledge the families of those that are killed, it's very corrosive on society, and you can lose very quickly the support of all parents of soldiers, even those who haven't lost someone yet. That's a very famous Ukrainian hymn that was written in 1939 when the Second World War started, and it's about a baby duck, I think, going off to war. Ukrainian. So, Artem, do you know anything more about that song, or it's very famous? I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Yeah. I know that it's pretty old, but it getting very popular after the events of 2014, the Revolution of Dignity, Euromaidan, yeah, when 100 people died in these events, was killed actually, yeah. And after that, this song became a real hymn to the Ukrainian heroes. That's
yeah, very powerful. And in fact, if a great movie to watch about where this war started was actually all in 2013 and 14, Winter on Fire, actually features that hymn. And every time I see that movie, that's an amazingly powerful hymn to the fallen in Ukraine. This is a road sign, Russians welcome to hell. Just a sign as people driving along the road, and that's a welcome. And this is how Russian soldiers are treating.
Домой! 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 Пиздец! Пизда! Чисто!
So that's there were some people wounded in that incident. Russian troops started opening fire at protesters unarmed. And coming out of the overall situation with regards to NATO and the West, President Biden is warning of evolving intelligence that shows Russia is exploring options for potential cyber attacks, and is encouraging all American companies, especially larger ones, critical infrastructure, public utilities, to harden their cyber defenses. And Artem, you know that Ukrainians are very good at defending against cyber attacks, probably the best cyber army in the world coming out of Ukraine.
Yeah, I know that a lot of Ukrainian engineers now working as well in American best IT companies. So yeah.
And this is that news from northwest of Kyiv. Again, it's the same news, which is these counterattacks which might surround Ukrainian forces. And there's a lot of evidence, anecdotal, of higher than expected failure rate of precision guided munitions. So Russian missiles that they're now relying on to bomb a lot of targets because their airplanes keep getting shut down, these precision guided munitions that they're shooting from ground and air-based rocket launches. Planes will launch them and ground systems will launch them. Apparently they have a higher than expected failure rate, which is ruining some of their plans for taking out certain targets. And this was actually published and then taken down immediately or a couple hours later. Russia apparently in one of the Kremlin friendly sites admitted to 9,861 troops killed and 16,153 wounded. And this was in response to Ukrainian claims of 14,700 dead. This is around, it's very, very credible according to US and Ukrainian estimates. It falls in between that. It was taken down. Russia claims it was a hack. US intelligence doesn't know if it was a hack or someone in the Russian side made a mistake or they were just protesting and trying to get the word out there. And this is Russian missile hitting a supermarket. This is very disturbing, actually. It happened right outside the door in terms of and Greece's foreign minister, Greece apparently had in Mariupol, which has a lot of Greek roots, they had until 15 March, they had a diplomatic mission there, and now they're going back. Their foreign ministers going to the city, which is under siege, which is an amazing display of bravery and compassion. There's continued warnings from US and NATO, which is backing up what Ukraine says, that Belarus could soon join the war in Ukraine and attack the western flank of Ukraine, the western border area. A lot of people are not sure that that will go very well for the Belarusian troops because unlike in Russia, Belarusian people, as you saw on our show the other night, are close to an open revolt against their government. But if President Lukashenko wants to hasten his own regime's potential demise, he may do that if he's forced by Putin to commit troops. He is trying to fight it off, but I don't know that he can. And John Sweeney says, this is a very good reporter. He puts a lot of messages out and says that the war is just not going well for President Putin. And this is the report today, just before the show, that there are realistic reports that Russian troops have been surrounded in Bucha, Irpin, and Gostomel, and therefore cut off from their own supplies. And that's a big problem for Russian soldiers. They're not in their own territory. The people are not friendly in that region. And this could be a really big amount of POWs or casualties for Russia if this holds. And finally, this is a girl that got famous for her singing Frozen in a bomb shelter, and now she's in Warsaw singing in front of a stadium the Ukrainian national anthem. Well, Artem, if you can tell everyone what are the words to the national anthem? What's the first line of the Ukrainian national anthem mean in English?
That ще не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. It means that glory and the will of Ukraine had not died yet. So yeah, that's what how it begins. Yeah.
It's a beautiful song and great words, and it just shows how Ukraine's always had that existential threat based on geography and unfriendly neighbors. But I think that those words ring true. Well, Artem, it's been great having you on here with us. I think today's show especially highlights the urgency of your development. Go please drink lots of Red Bull, get some rest as much as necessary, and can't wait for that initial prototype to be out so we can start testing real needs that we're, attracting from just the information we're putting out and the people that are coming to us. And I really, couldn't be more excited to work with you on any project than this. And I'm glad we found something good to work on together.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, too, for all your efforts and all the support all around the world. This is what Ukraine needs most of all right now.
Well, thank you, Artem. And with people like you and everyone else that we've spoken to, I'm convinced that it will be a positive, bright future for Ukraine, hopefully sooner rather than later. And the country has a lot of great days ahead of it.
Thanks.